All right, welcome everybody to the, what is it, February 5th version of the Service Catalog meeting. Let me go ahead and share my screen. That way people can see the agenda. All right, can you guys see that? Excellent, thank you, Colin. All right, Kibbles, you're up first with State or CRDs.
Cool. So as a primer, I had been talking to Eric Toon a little bit out of band, and it sounds like a lot of stuff is happening in the CRD space, and that CRDs eventually seem to be the correct, in my opinion, the correct backing for the sort of resources that we are developing in Service Catalog. So I don't think they're quite ready yet, though. And so I wanted Eric to come actually and talk about what the sort of state of the art is for CRDs. And then I thought it would be useful if we could give feedback as to how we're using our API server today and what we would need before we considered migrating. So some of the things that we talked about out of band were validation, auth, and versioning. So I don't know if we want to start off by maybe, Eric, you could summarize sort of your thoughts on those topics.
Yeah, I actually put together some slides, and I can't edit the agenda, but I just chatted them to the group chat. So I don't know if someone can present them, or if I should try to present them, or how that works.
Yeah, I don't have permission, so I can't present. So let me go ahead and unshare, and then you can share.
Oh, let me fix the permission. Okay. Anyone in the world with the link can now view it.
All right, cool. You want to go ahead and share anyway, or do you want me to share?
It'll take me yes, just do a share screen kind of a thing.
Yeah, should be down at the bottom. Perfect, thank you.
Okay, let me do present mode maybe. Are you guys seeing a pleasant presentation kind of a view of things?
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of people are using CRDs. Istio, I think, is a large project that I would call out that's a sort of similar scope to Service Catalog that is using them. And there's a bunch of others. You can kind of, each of those links goes to their CRD definitions that they're using. So the point here is there seems to be momentum with this many users. I would expect that, the project's going to be responsive to their needs. And then I kind of summarize what I see as the advantage of using CRDs over aggregation momentum, which I just talked about. There's less code that you need to fork and rebase, and it allows the project to sort of add features for you without you having to do anything. When users upgrade Kubernetes, then they get the new stuff. Flip side is that, advantage for you is if for some reason you have users that you can't get to upgrade your clusters, but you can get them to upgrade your aggregated API server, then I guess that does allow you to deliver features to them a little faster. That's a trade-off you guys will have to think about. You don't have to run a separate etcd, and there's sort of lower net memory requirements, which some people seem to care about. They can do a lot as of 1.9, so there's actually a lot of validation you can do without needing to write any code. You can enforce different types of API date formats. You can have min and max values for items and maximum links for lists, and require fields and do pattern matches and require uniqueness. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with open API schemas currently in 1.9. If those don't meet your needs, you can also do more complex validation using a thing called a webhook, which you install kind of the same way that you install an aggregate API server, but it's a much tighter piece of code. Still has to install a client cert so the API server can call out to it, but instead of doing all the things an API server does, it just does like a validation. It can also do what we call mutation, which allows you to default fields. Hopefully for 1.10, and if not then I really believe it'll be done by 1.11. It'll have server-side support for multi-versioning, which means instead of having a conversion routine compiled into an API server. You'll have a conversion routine that's compiled into a much simpler webhook, and the main API server will just call out to you and say, hey, can you convert foo v1 beta 1 to foo v1 for me? And your webhook will reply. Status sub-resources being worked on and metadata.generation support, I would expect to be ready soon. And then strategic merge patch is under development. So that's kind of what's coming down the pipeline. The main reason, like looking to the future, like 6 months from now, the main reason I would say people would still be wanting to use API aggregation is if they are like a facade and kind of in front of some type of storage that's totally different than etcd, like metrics API is a facade in front of like a time series database. So that's kind of the end of my pitch. I'm happy to answer any questions. But my message would be think about switching in 3 to 6 months. And if you can't, happy to talk to you about why.
So, okay, my hand's up first. So this is interesting. I'm just curious, is this something that you think the broader Kubernetes community, like if we were to go to SIG architecture and said, hey, API aggregation is cool and all, but we're just going to use CRDs for everything. Do you think SIG architecture would say, yeah, that should be the strategic direction for people, and that API aggregation is really only limited to the situation you mentioned there, where you had a different type of data store, or is this more just either one can work?
One would be that I believe SIG architecture's position is that they want more things to be built out of core. So whether you're using aggregation or CRDs, you're building your business logic out of the core. So I think they would be indifferent on that point. And then I have certainly floated this view by and gotten agreement from Brian Grant, who's one of the members of SIG architecture, and I'm not aware of any objections from other members of SIG architecture to this view. But maybe I should go talk to more of them. That's fair feedback.
Right. Well, I wasn't coming down it at all. I was just curious because it is an interesting choice. So
check the last recording. Actually, I think it's from the 25th. They talk about this quite a bit, and that is their positioning thus far, is moving towards CRDs.
Yeah, the advantage from the architecture standpoint is that it's harder for people to do things which are un-Kubernetes-like with a CRD because they have a narrower surface area, and it allows the platform to stay more cohesive. I don't know necessarily that Service Catalog is doing that, but as a general point, we'd rather give people that are extending the platform less leeway rather than more, but still meet their needs.
Yeah, that's understandable. So if this takes off, do you see this leading towards converting some of the core Kubernetes resources over to CRDs?
Yes, that's going to happen.
Excellent. Okay.
I can't give you a timeline on that. The SIG architecture feels strongly about layering, and I'm not going to point out a specific resource and say you're going to get the boot, but I think it's highly likely that some resources will get pushed out.
Okay, cool. Null, your hand's up.
Yeah, so one of the major features missing from CRDs, last I checked, was missing versioned API. So you can't actually transition from like beta to version 1 and so on. And last I checked at the KubeCon in December with architecture guys, I think, they said, or API machinery, I can't remember. But the answer was that, yes, this is a missing feature and we don't have any plans on fixing this anytime soon. Because as far as I understand, it's like part of the design of CRDs or something, like there is such limitation. And with that, I'm not sure if we can actually move like core APIs to the CRDs.
There is a design doc out for how to do versioning by one of my coworkers, and it's gotten good reviews. I mean, I think it's getting reviews from David Eads, STTS, and I think Nikita, who all work on the CRD code. So I think that sentiment has probably changed since KubeCon. I can try to send a link to the design doc that's being discussed now if you want to dive into it, or just say like, I'm very optimistic that we'll add validation soon. Sorry, we'll add conversion soon.
Okay, if you have a link, that would be great. I would share it with my team because we're actually using CRDs in some of the.
I will chat a link to the design doc that's being circulated right now. And as far as like my team at Google, like we have people that like headcount allocated to implement it as soon as we sort of reach consensus on the design. Obviously, we want the whole community to participate, but like in terms of being enough, people to do it, I think that's not going to be a problem.
Okay, so my hand's up next. So you had mentioned that you think we should consider CRDs. I think you said in a 3 to 6 month time frame. Just out of curiosity, if we were to consider switching over now, what features would we be missing?
There's a bug where you can't set metadata.generation properly. And so until that's fixed, which might come in a 1.9 patch release, but probably not, it'll be annoying if you're relying on metadata.generation in your aggregated API server.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
And then I heard I think I talked to both you, Michael, and Ville, and you don't have multiple versions yet, or you actually do have 2 versions, alpha and beta. So if you really wanted to keep continuity on those, you couldn't do that yet.
Okay, Ville, your hand's up.
Yeah, so Eric, would it be possible to use, this is Ville, would it be possible to go ahead and do more code in the webhooks, do the versioning on the way in, but on the way out, is there a workaround?
You can't do multi-versioning with webhooks because they don't see reads, and you need reads for versioning to work. I think you knew that, so maybe I misunderstood your question.
No. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something obvious on the way out. That's what I mean by on the get path. On the way out, on the way in, we can certainly muck everything with the mutating webhooks. But for the read operations, is there anything like that?
There's nothing in the current code. It was we wanted to not give people too much freedom and make sure they only did the right things at the right points in the path. And so there's no way to fake it right now.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Oh, Michael Kibbles.
Yeah. So Paul gave me a couple of things that he was wondering if he could hear about how CRDs implement them. So one thing is client generation. What's the experience around that? Or is it just similar to how we do today?
There are people that I talk to regularly that are working on that. I don't know what the state is. I will make a point to find out and let Michael or Ville know, and they can relay to the group maybe for your next meeting.
Cool. And another thing was graceful deletion and finalization. Is there anything special we need to know for CRDs?
I have not tried it myself, but I read something today that said that it was supported. If it's not, I think that would be something we'd urgently want to fix.
Okay. And then finally, what's the story around kube control columns with CRDs?
I don't know. That's a good question. I will add that to my list of things to get back to you on.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you, Eric. This has been really interesting. It's a fascinating option available to us.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yep. You want to stop sharing, then I can go back to share.
Thanks a lot, Eric.
There we go. Thank you. Hold on a sec. All right. I assume you guys can see my screen, right? Not that I can see you.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Thank you. All right, Jay, you're up. Force delete and clean up of resources.
Yeah, we're seeing some issues on our side around cleanup of namespaces failing because people can't delete bindings or can't delete services. Some of this stuff has been fixed in the latest work we've done in Service Catalog, but I think there's still some holes around forced delete and in general, forced cleanup of resources. We've got one issue. The 666 has been around for a while. It was kind of focused on developer experience or developers being able to clean up, during a test cycle. But I think it's still useful, especially in our early days with Service Catalog and resources. Things maybe not working out properly, and we're seeing users end up in positions where they can't get rid of catalog resources, and obviously that's a bad thing. So I guess I'm just surfacing the issue, wondering if any other people are seeing issues being reported from the field, and something I think we probably ought to try to get some work on prior to our next release, next big release. So I guess I'm just kind of raising some attention on it and seeing if anyone's available to do some work in this area.
Kibbles, your hands up.
Yeah, so we have seen some, or the same issue really at Google. What we told people to do is right now just manually remove the finalizer from the resource. But obviously, I don't think should be the long-term solution here. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's been a pain point for us as well. Though I'm not exactly sure what the correct approach would be. I guess would it be because right now I think we set the graceful deletion period is 0, I believe. So it just automatically goes into the final stages of trying to clean up. So I guess would we want to change that to where the graceful period is a longer interval, and then if it reaches that point, our code just automatically pulls out the finalizer? I'm not sure what the right approach is here.
Yeah, I'm not certain on the right approach either. Just seeing that forced deletion does fail in numerous scenarios.
Yeah, though, are any of the other, so I know pods use forced deletion. Is there any other resource that uses the -- force flag? I wasn't able to find anything off a quick Google.
Yeah, and I'm not aware of other resources.
Okay.
Any other?
I guess maybe that's something we need more discussion on if we want to go that far. But it does seem like certainly with the state of things today, we do need something, as you're saying, short of going to the effort of removing the finalizers.
So Jay, have you opened up is issue 1551 related to this directly?
I don't recall if I opened that, but it's specific about, I think might be service bindings, can't force delete them.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether maybe we should open up an issue if we don't already have one so that people can discuss it over there and make sure.
Yeah, sure. I'll make sure there is something current for both binding instances, Doug, and I'll update the agenda with it. Or,
right.
The meeting notes with it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. Any other comments or questions on this one? All right. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks.
And Jeff, shameless plug.
Hey, yeah, not too much to say about it. It's just the PR for adding pod preset into the settings API group. This PR has passed through 3 people, including myself. So all I really did was make sure that CI was passing. There was a small problem with the previous PR that Paul did. So I think it's good to go now, and I would really like to get it in so that I can start doing the initializer work on top of it. That's pretty much it.
All right. So everybody please review that when you get a chance. Obviously, much appreciated. Any questions on that one? All right. Are there any other topics people would like to bring up? Because we're technically at the end of the agenda. Oh, wait a minute. Eric just pasted something to the chat. Oh, okay. There's a link to the CRD versioning thing. So let me copy that, paste it into the thing. Hold on a sec.
Doug, while you're pasting, I did have, I guess, one other issue that might be worthy of mentioning. Maybe Kibbles actually has a better answer on this one. As far as I know, the 1.5 Travis build the version, the 015, pushing the binaries, I think is failing because it's taking too long. Kibbles, I think you said you were working on teasing apart the Travis job into multiple.
Yeah, multiple stages. So that got merged actually. So it won't unfortunately be able to apply to the 0.1.5 release, but everything after that, we shouldn't hit this timeout issue, though it's still why it's taking so long for the deployment and the integration tests is something I think we should look into.
All right. Nal, your hand's up.
Yeah, I just posted a link to the new issue I have just created yesterday that we have noticed that in case of connection timeout with the OSB request, Service Catalog currently does the orphan mitigation and then marks the instance or binding as having terminal error and doesn't retry. So Paul has already commented that he agrees that we should probably retry on this. What other people think about it? Maybe there are some other cases where we also need to retry instead of just giving up.
Michael, I assume your hand's up for something else. I'll get you in a sec. Or okay, your hand's up for that too. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that I have a different issue saying we should probably retry. Oh, wait, maybe it's a slightly different scope, but I do agree with this is that we probably should be retrying these cases where even like 500s. I feel like we should give a best effort to hope that the server can get its stuff together. But so I agree.
Any other comments on that one?
I just wanted to reply to Mike that I think that the main problem with Service Catalog is that because there is no idempotency guarantee that every time before retry we need to clean up or to run the orphan mitigation. So I guess that's probably the one which complicates the case, because without that we would be able to just literally retry until success or something. But yeah, with orphan mitigation it's a bit more complicated, but yeah, I think like in most cases we still should probably retry. With 500 I'm not sure if with provisioning it's probably straightforward. I'm not sure about update case, whether in case of error you could just retry, because you can't run the orphan mitigation, right? Because in case of error, but it might be fine to just retry. I don't know.
Yeah, I was mostly speaking provisioning.
Okay, any other comments or questions on that one? Okay, Michael, your hand was up for something else, I think?
Yeah, so for the 0.1.5 release, because I think the deployment's gotten all the way through all but one of the architectures. I can't remember exactly which one. So I guess what do we want to do? Are we okay with just not having an 0.1.5 for that specific architecture? Or do we want to have a patch version? Because we're probably going to release another version in 2 days, right? So it's probably not too big of an issue.
What's the one architecture?
I think it's the S390X.
Okay, so Z, okay. Is it, I'm sorry, I haven't looked at it. Is the issue that the machine's down or it's just failing to build there? What's the issue, do you know?
The issue was that the deployment, so our entire build, test, deploy steps in the normal case for commits on master is within the 50-minute job timeout. But for the special versioned releases where we have to deploy for all the architectures, it goes above the 50 minutes. So it's like right on the cusp. And so for 0.1.4, I found that if I just ran it a bunch of times, eventually a build got under the 50 minutes. It was like 48 minutes, 50 seconds. And so I was able to get all the images out. But it seems like we've tried that a lot for 0.1.5, and it hasn't yet gotten the 390X images out.
Is that 50-minute timeout, is that something that we can set, or is that something controlled by Travis? Who actually manages
It's something explicitly controlled by Travis.
Oh,
we can't do anything. But what I did do is introduce stages so that now the deploy is in a different job. And so each job has a 50-minute timeout. So we shouldn't hit this issue anymore. It's just for the 0.1.5 release.
Okay, well, if it's not, well, if it was up to me, I'd say, oh, skip it for this one release because as you said, we're gonna have another one soon. So.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that didn't affect anybody.
Yeah, I personally, from the IBM side, I'm not aware of RZ folks coming down hard on us that much on service catalog. So skipping one release, it would not be a big deal for us anyway.
Cool.
Nal, your hands up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the link above about the CRD design document is not accessible, so it has a restricted access. Can we request to get more permissions?
Yeah, Michael, since you've been talking with Eric, can you ping him, ask him to open up the permission on that file?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. All right. I believe we're at the end of the agenda again. Any other topics people want to bring up? Oh, wait, Kibbles, you're up again.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we have a lot of PRs outstanding right now with one LGTM, and we're into the second page of PRs. So it would be nice if we could get that under 25. So please review people.
Yes, good idea. All right. Any other topics? Going once? All right, we're done. Thank you guys very much. We'll talk next week.